Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. It's a markets are waking up in a happy mood and more confidence that they're going to get their rate cut. You got the 10-year here. You can see interest rates gapping lower, moving lower into the area of that pivot low. And we shall see if it breaks it and comes further back down and where the markets go from here. So let's take a peek, see where they're at. All right. S&Ps, a little extended to the downside. We got sort of a measured move here. And I always get the question, what's a measured move? Well, it's a setup, a buy setup that either ends in the middle of nowhere, could be a void, meaning there's nothing to the left, or like with this one, right on that support. It makes a reversal, it triggers and fails. And you get about an equal move, give or take, nothing exact. But if you measure from here to here and you extend it like down, would have came down to that next support level, but it stopped a little before that, give or take. You see the low there, which that low coincided with the area that we talked about last week in the NASDAQ 100, which hit it within fractions of a point. That reversal day that extended on lower on whatever the day was on the 5-minute chart. I think I made a video about that I shared with everybody, certainly did in the green room while we saw it happen in real time, where it accelerated on the 5-minute chart to make a low. So markets are up here a little bit. Are they up significantly? Not this one. This broke down, violated these pivot lows, 50 MA break below, getting above here and right at this resistance. And so you can see what's happening here as things are selling off here a bit. So, the markets have been, making these advances and dropping back and advances and dropping back. It's getting a little tighter. And it's really what we want to see. Well, let's put it this way. For a bounce, ideally, and it doesn't matter whether things are broken down or whether they're, in an uptrend in a move. Anytime you can get 2 or 3 days of some kind of a consolidation before advancing, it's going to be a higher probability setup because you've created or built an area of support that prices can advance from. I mean, right now, while this on a 5-minute chart looks like, oh my goodness, look at the way that's coming in. We always look at higher time frames and put shorter time frames in perspective. And so this, it popped up above these pivot highs there, not a big deal. So what we're looking for is to see, as we always do, let me just do it here with this. We're building a trading range, a little trading range here. So what you want to observe here this morning in the first half hour or so is, and we can look at the spiders as well, and this is what we call our factory work, meaning based on how we interpret price patterns, it never changes. There are basics that never change. So a retracement from support to resistance, what does it do at resistance? Does it fall all the way back down? Or more bullishly, does it chop sideways there for whatever amount of time? It could be 20 minutes, could be an hour, whatever. And put it in perspective of the time frame that you're looking at. And so let me just, as I'm thought here, as this is coming down to that support level there down here, let's see if buyers want to show up again and we start getting some rattling around, which will relate to somewhere, in here as some kind of consolidation at the top of the trading range. And then we look for a move up. That would be the ideal bullish situation. The bearish one will be, obviously, crashing down through that support. Crash is an overstatement, but, breaking down through that support, coming down to the next pivots, and then what does it do from here, which will evolve on the daily time frame to whatever this day is going to look like. Does it go up? Does it go down? Do we got a big red bar at the end of the day? That's the unknown, and we'll see what occurs. Intraday, we see that it's at resistance. It's kind of chopping around here. Again, we'll see if it comes up. The weekly time frame is in an uptrend. Maybe we eventually get down to 5,400, which would be more significant, as always, looking at the actual index, SPX. Where is that? So as a general rule, looking at the location of moving averages and whole numbers, while do have relevance, as far as a bigger picture analysis, you always want to use the underlying, not the futures, not a leveraged ETF, and so on. Let's see if this will eliminate those drawing tools. Perfect. Okay. NASDAQ, more damage being done out of growth into value, into whatever's beat up. So when we talk about value, most of the times that kind of relates to a fundamental analysis, whereas things that were beaten up, maybe not so good fundamentally, they were oversold or just extended, however you want to, explain a reason of a bounce in something that's gone down a lot. That's what occurred. So you can see the NASDAQ futures are down here on the rising 20 MA, which is equal to the 100 on the daily. It's on minor support. It's on this congestion. It's in an area where it's likely to stabilize. And so on the daily time frame, we do not have a pattern here to guide our bias to something of significance, meaning, is this a new swing setup? No, it's not. Could it bounce up toward the 50 or somewhere in between? We've got a bearish wide range bar here. Factory work dictates putting a line in the middle of that bar just to see if prices can close above it, which would be one indication of strength after this strong down move. Eventually, maybe we get a retest or whatever it's going to happen. It could just be heading down to the 200. We don't know yet. Clearly, there was a significant move to the downside, which occurred after we got our sell signal from our internals, which was up here, and they are not into the bullish area yet. They're neutral, so they don't tell us anything that helps us at this point. Top of the trading range on the 60-minute chart. So resistance, sellers at high pivots, buyers at low pivots, rejection right there at resistance, and we'll see how far down it comes or not. YM. Sharp down move. This was the most erratic, disgusting kind of chart of them all. Back here, it was whipping up and down, up and down. Eventually, it played some catch up, as we call it, and that moved higher. And so this cleared the pivot. So now it's showing relative strength, but here it's just chopping around, got rejected the same as the others. No damage done on the daily time frame. But the way this came down, the angle of retracement here, this is a much more severe angle of retracement. When you get those, it takes some time for that energy to dissipate, or that bearish sentiment to dissipate. And retest patterns are ideal for that. Same as here, retest patterns. So again, sideways, dip, straight up again. We'll see if it clears this, set an alert there. And Russell, relative strength, but up at this pivot high, still looks good. Explosive move. Rather than pulling back into this area of minor support and the rising 20, buyers came in, they're more aggressive. And so we'll see if this leads to some choppy consolidation, another sell-off right here that occurred, same as the others. And look, we had a little breakout failure there. So it was a nice little 60-minute pattern with the breakdown and then taking it out. And sometimes this is what happens in trading, is that we have patterns that imply something. They guide us to thinking here, in this case, long, and then it just falls apart. It's frustrating, but look, it is what it is. everything was worked out, we wouldn't need stop losses. Interest rates are dipping down. We looked at the 10-year. This is the 30-year coming down to support. Check the euro. Down here. So here is the euro pulling back, which means the dollar is going up. And why, I don't know. I haven't checked any of the news things, but look, the euro's coming down quite a bit. Are they cutting interest rates? No news. So coming down to the 200. See this again, as I look at this, the patterns that we look at, I think that Dan and I talk about in MT Live and of course in the courses. When we recognize patterns, and in this case, we see a buy setup here and the initiation of a failure, it produces thoughts, patterns that are patterns that we looked at, recurring price patterns suggest the future. So when we see something like this, and I look at this, it suggests to me the possibility of a measured move lower, just the way we saw the measured move on the other chart. I don't read Spanish. Sorry, Brownie. What platform am I using? This is called eSignal. You won't find many people using this, especially in the retail community, primarily because they're not connected to a brokerage firm where you can go and use a platform, and if you trade there, you get it for free. Unfortunately, they never became a brokerage firm. They kind of missed that boat. Anyway, maybe one day they will. All right. I'm going to get to SPX. Bitcoin moving up to the top of the trading range, as you can see here on the weekly chart, much more clearly as we condense that data. Looks like it'll keep going up. And look at some of the stocks that move with Bitcoin. They may present us opportunities, which we will be doing. Excuse me. SPY. Same rejection, of course. It got up toward that resistance area up there, and now it's backing off. Broke through this major support area. And so down here was the unfilled gap, which it didn't quite tag, and major support down here in this area. Still some room to the rising 20 and that support area. And so if this rolls back over, right, the unknown, coming down into that area would be likely. Volatility index. Trending up like others are trending down. Set an alert up in those areas to be aware if it goes up there. No need to staring at it during the day. Just set an alert and let the computer watch it. SPX, let's just, where did those, hold on. I don't know what's going on here. Oh, there's this, oh, I opened up the option table before, and now I can't find it. Couldn't find it earlier. Anyway, I suspect this number has come down 5 strikes as things have come in, and that's fine. And this will have come down a little bit as well. And looking, anytime you can get to whole numbers or in between the whole numbers like that, that's going to be generally a good place. Is it likely to get up there today? I would say close to impossible to get up there. I couldn't. TradeStation, this is a rolling joke between Alex and myself about giving the pinch to each other about our platforms. And he's always used TradeStation. I've always used eSignal, so kind of a fun thing. But one thing, honestly, about TradeStation is to navigate that platform is freaking brain damage. Where to find things. I mean, like anything on a platform, you got to get used to using it and then knowing where it is. But look, in this platform, it just operates like any other Microsoft system. You just right click, go find your menu and go find things. It's easy. And anyway, every platform has its bells and whistles that are desirable and others not. None of them are perfect. Um, all right. Transports. A theme that occurred recently was the underperformers, and this was just total chaotic uncertainty, a mess, uncertain terms, and then the explosive move that implies it can go higher. It pulled back to support what resistance support they came in. It's an erratic type of a pattern, is the top of the trading range there. So there's a lot of work to be done, I think, or somewhat decent amount of work to be done for um, the strength of this move to consolidate itself, and how did that, we want to see the ranges contract and things get tighter. It may or may not happen. Sometimes the enthusiasm in the moment, things just move more than you think they might. But um, the foundation or basics is that bigger moves occur from periods of lower volatility, and this is not lower volatility at all. Uh, the industrials, same story there. So we'll see what happens. As I explained, there's the short-term selling that is occurring here. Where do things hold? We'll see how it unfolds. And of course, as always, we'll be looking at individual stocks. To you, Dan.
Good morning. I'm glad we're coming in here. We'll make it easier to get on longs of interest. Yeah, Alex, we'll look at those miners. I looked at a bunch of them just as I do routinely, but a bunch of the usual suspects, a lot of them had earnings this week. Let me look at a couple of alarms going off and then earnings. Bro, this is a continuation. Breakout, all-time highs, insurance, ENPH alarm. I don't know why my alarm went off. Um, oh, I know why. Because I said over the closing price we were going to sell a put spread. This is what I call a continuation of a 1, 2, 3. So it's not a great directional, it's up too much, but for put spread down here, looks great. DeBerg, DBRG. That set my alarm off, bottoming pattern. Home Depot, put spread. I'm not crazy about this as a directional, but put spread. I so those are all some watch items. Riley, another bottoming pattern. Party City, bottoming pattern. ICE. These are all alarms that are been going off pre-market. We did a half lot on this. Long on Friday. I said we could do the back half over this 15-minute pivot. Let's look at a couple earnings here. McDonald's, swapping all over the place. I call this a potential bottoming pattern. Still got declining 2050, but you had a 100% move. You had a gap negated, but I'm not convinced. So AMG is strong, all time frames. I don't see any gaps though. This gapping down could be a call spread if there's any juice. CNA, it's up 2 bars. You need a pullback, but that's insurance again. Insurance has been strong. Reviti, gap's too big. Wow. See, my eye always looks at all 4 of these. And you know what? My eye, oh, thanks, Patrick. My eye just went to this monthly consolidation. But now that I make it bigger, there's no void. If this was a big momentum move down, then I would say I'm going to keep that on my list for a pullback. But gap's too big for me. This is a potential bottoming pattern. Here's your initial W. Textbook W for a bounce. And now we have a higher low with a void. So that's worth watching. I don't see any prints, but these are still earnings. This $25. I have this in the bottom right chart. It's it's bearish, but I throw it in the excessive gap. I'd prefer if it were gapping at 23, actually. OIS, anything that's not how exactly I would describe it, we just throw the word minor in front of it. So this was a minor 1, 2, 3. Just the reason it's not a regular one is because Friday's bar was too high for 1, 2, 3. We want an inside bar. But now the gap's too big. Oscar November 77, gap's too big. Yeah, I was contemplating putting SMHs in as a put spread. And the reason I didn't is I do not trust this for five trading days, 4 nights. Because I don't trust this. I trust it for a 1 to 2 day to 3 day balance. So it's gapping up here over a lot of 15-minute pivots. So we'll keep an eye on semis. Ill, sloppy, but bullish all time frames. INSP 135. All right, so ideally for a pro gap, I would like it a little deeper, like to 140. But it's worth watching because it could be the start of a breakdown failure. So those are all the earnings I have. Let's just go through as many others as we have time for. Baba bottoming pattern. I love Friday's bar here. So that's gapping up. I have that in a window. Other computer. Disney had some movies come out over the weekend. It's a put spread I do. Abbott. Now this was not earnings. I don't know what that's the nasty gap. Top of the range to the bottom. But I don't have a bias right now. Crowd alarm just went off. I've been watching this ever since this gap down day. This was the day they wreaked havoc with Microsoft, sold off a bunch more. They'll turn. I love watching things like this. Weekly, monthly still look lower, but for a 1 to 3 day bounce, I don't know if it'll happen today or not, but it's on my list. Soon, I guess I'll go in by the ticker. Deeper tracement, 180 turn, you got to avoid. See if it sets up. SMCI. Yeah, we were talking about this Friday, actually. Alex, remember? Like we gave it as a 0 DTE put spread. Or Nate, I think the naked 600s were like $1. I mentioned on Friday. But he gets spready. Same with Mr. Oh no, this was the one I mentioned. This was the one. I think I said because Bill Knotts loves trading this, but bullish pattern. I wish they were more liquid and we could do more trades on that. All right, I'll look at yours real quick here. Morrow, say 8-1. 8-1. I definitely would have. That's a definite put spread candidate. But if it sets up, we can day trade it. I just couldn't do a put spread. This one's 812. Now that is a perfect wide trading range. Both for trading bullish patterns on support, reversals at resistance, and iron condors. Well, take a quick peek. See if there's any premium for condors. I would do the 20s and the 15s. 23, 20s, 31. Not bad actually. Not bad. Okay, I'm gonna put that on a different window. CLSK. So it's a candidate for Friday. Riot, yeah, C731, and that one's messier. So the A/B test, Mara is better. Iran gapping up, but that was a ugly gap down on Thursday, no interest. Core Z 1060. Uh, extended weekly, monthly, but bullish as can be daily. In retrospect, look at this amazing breakout here. All right, done with those. Let's go up here. All right. NDAC. Now that is a 1-2-3, but I don't like 1-2-3s far from the 20. It gapped down and now it's recovering, but it could set up for a day trade. I think this was on Sam's list. I have an alarm. JP Morgan, we sold a put spread Friday. I would love to get an inside bar today, upper third. And then this will be a 1-2-3 for tomorrow. EPAM, Sam, that was on your list, bull flag. There's your flag pole. There's your 30-degree counter trend retracement. SPT alarm, Sam. EPAM right there. We're talking about it. EPAM alarm just went off. I'll put that in a different window. EPAM flag W alarm. Yeah, I'm having computer problems again tonight, so Greg might have to help out. All right, remember this fly W I was contemplating? The 1-2-3, it's off to the races here, right out of the gate. JPM, yeah, I don't trade in the first 5 minutes. Market falling, I'm in no rush to do anything.
Tesla's a nice gap up. That could be for a put spread there, but I like it for it sets up for an intraday trade.
Yeah,
Yeah, above resistance.
they got a Morgan upgrade. Um, Tesla, remember we talked about do we trust him for 4 nights? That's the problem. But yeah, I like the pattern. 212.50. There's a ton of fangs this week, so I think that's part of the reason it's staying juicy. 210, 205 is 43. Markets, wow, diamonds gave up the entire gap already. IWM and Spider threatening. Get through my alarms here. JP Morgan up alarm, so that's relative strength. Gen, gen alarm, ADT, ADTN alarm. I forget what trade I gave. Buy $7 calls for 20 cents over the closing price. So that's why it triggered. 0 by 55. Are you freaking kidding me? All right, well, that's Jen was long for 26, 27.
Idea to send an alert. Intel's down a whole lot. That's reporting earnings this week. It's on some major support. I would send an alert above yesterday's high. Just maybe it gets going.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I wasn't watching that. I did come in a lot. All right, Sam, you're
Semiconductors too. NVIDIA's strong SOXL, bounces and things extended.
yeah, I mean, I was considering SMH over the weekend, but I wanted to watch it today. But yeah, we could do it right now.
Yeah. Just give it a little room.
230s. Well, yeah, it'd be the last week's low. But then, we'll have a big loss if it hits. But
Well,
loves,
well, SOXLs for at least day trades and use the leverage one.
but do you like SMH put spread here?
This is it's no good.
Oh, Morgan down alarm. JP Morgan holding better. And we did Goldman. We have 3 put spreads there. I nod alarm. This is our directional up alarm. Remember that buy setup we did on Friday? We'll stop here. 1943.